Imagine a voice out on the water so beautiful that every man who ever caught the sound of it turned his ship straight toward it and died smiling. But here's the part nobody tells you. That voice isn't promising love or beauty. It's promising you the one thing you would give anything to know. Let me tell you this story from the Odyssey. Now, he had just come back from the land of the dead, and the witch who had sent him there, Circe, wasn't his enemy anymore. She had become something stranger, his guide. Before he left her island for the last time, she sat him down and warned him about the danger still waiting between him and home. And the very first one she warned him about was the one that frightened her the most, because it doesn't look like danger at all. There is an island, she told him, a green meadow running right down to the water, and it is the most beautiful place you will ever sail past. On that island live the Sirens, and their voices are the most beautiful sound in all the world. No music a human ever made comes close. Every sailor who hears them feels it pull at something deep in his chest, and he turns his ship toward that sound and steers straight into the shore. And that meadow, that beautiful green meadow, is a graveyard. The grass grows up through heaps of human bones, skin still drying on the dead men where they fell. Men who heard the most beautiful sound in the world and smiled and died for it. But here's what almost no one knows about the Sirens. The thing that makes them so much worse than a lovely voice. They don't sing about love. They don't sing about beauty or pleasure or some woman waiting on a shore. They sing about knowledge. They call out to you by name, and they promise to tell you everything. Everything that happened at Troy, everything that happens anywhere in the world, every secret that was ever kept. Come closer, they sing, and we will make you the one man who knows it all. Now, think about who is sailing toward that island. Odysseus, the man of 1,000 tricks, the cleverest man alive, and the most curious. The one who always has to know more than anyone else in the room. The one who walked into a giant's cave just to see what was inside. The Sirens don't have one song. They have your song. They know exactly what each man can't say no to. And for a man like Odysseus, there has never been a more perfect bait than this. Come here and know everything. Now, Circe had given him a way past it, a simple one. Take beeswax, she said, soften it in your hands and press it deep into the ears of every man at the oars. Plug them tight so they can't hear a single note. Then row past the island, deaf to it, and you'll all be safe. The men won't even know what they sailed by. Simple, safe. And Odysseus couldn't do it because he had to hear it. He couldn't stand the thought of being the one man clever enough to get past the Sirens and never knowing what they sounded like. He had to be the one who heard the song and lived. So he gave his crew a different set of orders, and he gave them while his head was still clear. Put the wax in your own ears, he told them, but not in mine. Tie me to the mast, standing up, ropes around my chest and my hands, fixed to the wood so I can't move. And then, the part that matters most, if I beg you to let me go, if I scream, if I plead, if I order you with everything I have to cut me loose, don't listen to me. Don't obey me. Tie me tighter and row harder. Now, stop and think about what he is actually doing there. He doesn't trust himself. He knows that the calm, clever man giving these orders is about to disappear. That the moment the song reaches him, someone else will be standing in his place, someone desperate who will say anything and promise anything to get free. So he plans for that man. He hands his own freedom to his crew on purpose and tells them, whatever I become out there, do not give it back to me. They sealed their ears, they bound him to the mast, and the ship slid into the still water off the island. And the voices began. And it was everything Circe had promised, the most beautiful sound he had ever heard, and it was singing to him, by name. Odysseus, come closer. We know what you suffered at Troy. We know everything the gods know. Come, and we will tell you all of it. And he broke. The cleverest man alive came completely apart against those ropes. He strained until the cords cut into his chest. He shouted at his men. He begged them. He threw every ounce of his command at them. "Let me go. Turn the ship. I order you. Cut me loose." His face twisted, wet with tears, screaming to be set free so he could go and die. And his men, their ears full of wax, faithful to the order he had given them when he was still himself, did exactly what he'd told them to do. They did not free him. They got up and they wound the ropes tighter around him, and they rowed. He is the captain. He is screaming at his own crew to free him, and the smartest, most loyal thing they can possibly do is refuse him. Let's sit with how strange that is for a second. If this is the kind of story you can't get enough of, hit subscribe. There's a lot more of it coming. They rowed until the voices grew thin behind them, until the most beautiful sound in the world faded back into ordinary wind and water. And only then did they unplug their ears and untie their captain. And Odysseus became the only man who ever heard the song of the Sirens and lived. Now look at what actually saved him. It wasn't strength. In that moment, Odysseus was not strong at all. He was as weak and desperate as any man who ever steered into those rocks. If his hands would have been free, he would have died in that meadow with all the rest of them. Every man who ever passed that island trusted his own willpower, trusted that he would be the one strong enough to listen and resist. And every single one of them is still out there, dead in the grass, grinning. Odysseus lived for one reason and one reason only. He was the only man who admitted, before the first note ever reached him, while he could still think straight, that he would not be strong enough. And he took the choice out of his own hands while he still had the clarity to do it. His survival had nothing to do with the willpower he had in that moment. It had everything to do with the rope that tied him before that moment came. And what did they sing to him? Well, what was actually in that song, the secret that nearly tore a man apart just to hear it, he never said. Homer never tells us. The only person who ever heard the song of the Sirens and came back alive carried whatever it was to his grave. The island disappeared into the sea behind them. The voices were gone, and Odysseus sat at the stern, the raw red marks of the rope still wrapped around his wrists, and he never told a single living soul what they sang. If you know someone fighting something they can't seem to outmuscle on their own, send this to them. And on your screen right now is the whole Odyssey saga, every story in one place. One of my favorites comes next. Two monsters at once, a six-headed horror on one side and a whirlpool that swallows whole ships on the other, and a captain who had to choose which of his men would die. Start at the beginning or just keep going. Click it right now, and I'll see you in the next story.